And welcome back to Zanpakuto Theory Video. And we're really starting to run on steam. Obviously, we're going with the only other Zero Division whose name Zanpakuto we actually have a name for, and I've seen. And Tenjirō Kirinji? Tenjirō Kirinji. And his Zanpakuto, I believe, is called Kinpikas Shikai. But other than that, I'm trying to think, okay, I got the bad guy from Camp for Your Own World novel, Zanpakuto, to talk about still. I've got 2 anime-only Soul Reapers to talk about, and there is at least one lower-seeded Soul Reaper whose Zanpakuto we did see the Shikai of earlier on, and actually very early on in the Soul Society series. He's the guy who got his ass kicked by Uryu. But other than that, I'm starting to run out of Zanpakuto here. But anyway, we still got some to talk about, and if I can, I'll find more to talk about. But we're really running on fumes now. So Tenjirō Kirinji was one of the members of the Zero Division, the Squad Zero, if you will, of the Soul Society, tasked with protecting the Royal Guard. And in the 1,000-Year Blood arc, we actually finally meet these guys, including him. And it's kind of widely agreed that with the exception of Ichibei, who was the leader of the Royal Guard, Ichibei himself, the Royal Guard was really disappointing. Mostly because they were there to be used as fodder to show how powerful the bad guys were, which is dumb. You could have still shown how powerful they were by showing how powerful the Zero Division actually was. But point being is that was kind of why they were there. Again, Ichibei got a really good fight, but that was it. He's the one we learned the most about. Kirinji, though, he's the one who basically developed the healing abilities of the 13 Core Guard Squad, which is what granted him the promotion to the Zero Division. And he's noted as probably being one of the fastest users of Shunpo in the 13 Core Guard Squad, as well, being able to even outmaneuver Soifan, who was the fastest in the Gote 13. But apart from Ichibei, who got a full drawn-out fight, the biggest problem, I think, with the Zero Division is you bring them up, think words here. You put them all on this pedestal of strength, you barely show any of them in a fight. You showed one in a full-on fight. Kirinji started to fight, and then nothing happened from that. And only Nimaya, is it Nimaya? I believe that's it. The guy who created the Zanpakuto. He got an actual fight, but he didn't show off what his Zanpakuto actually was. Now, I think it's because they're so powerful that they're kind of not beyond Zanpakuto, but are, what's the best way to put it? Their Zanpakuto are not the same as, say, like the standard 13 Core Guard Squad Zanpakutos that you see in the Soul Society, like a standard sword, or maybe you're hiding in a cane. No. Well, like we see Ichibei's. His Ichimonji is basically a giant paintbrush before it gets released. And even then, it just turns into like a glaive, more or less. And Kinpika is another example of this, where, as you can see in the picture here, he basically removed the sheath of the blade with his toe. And the blade's revealed, but that's about it. The blade doesn't change at all. The blade's covered in was sheath with Kirinji on it, meaning this is mine. It basically kind of actually resembles a rowboat paw, which makes sense because he can manipulate the water of his hot spring, so it kind of makes sense. But his is, in fact, of the Zero Division, the only other Zanpakuto we at least confirmed saw, and got a name for. We saw, again, I believe his name is, Tetsu's his first name. We saw Tetsu wield a Zanpakuto, but he claimed that was an ineffective prototype, basically. It wasn't, if that is his Zanpakuto, it's not the same as the normal Soul Reapers. I think the point of that Zanpakuto, frankly, is because it's an ineffective prototype, that's why he wields it. It's so sharp, a sheath can't hold it. That's why it's so actually that's why he used it. That's why it's actually as dangerous as it is. In terms of the other two, I can't remember who the other two's name, quite frankly. I think it's Senjumaru. Is that it? Senjumaru. Let me see here. one second here. Yeah, Senjumaru, which is the woman with the multiple arms who apparently made the wardrobe of the 13 Core Guard Squad. I'm guessing. Where's the other one? Hikifu. Kiryu Hikifune. She is the other one who we don't actually see a real Zanpakuto for, although she wields this giant spoon, which I guess could be her Zanpakuto. Who knows? It's a giant, like, walk spoon. And Senjumaru used the needle, so maybe a needle's her Zanpakuto. Who knows? The point being, here, after talking now for almost 6 minutes, wow, is that Kinpika is the Zanpakuto of Kirinji. Now, we don't see what it actually does, but it does release glows brightly upon its release. Now, like though with, say, Isane's or think of one we saw but didn't see what it did or know the name of that I talked about. To some extent, like Gonryo Maru, even though we figured out what that did later on. We can at least get an idea what this thing does, what it's capable of doing by its name, release command, and at minimum the bright flash that it gave when it was used. So we can first say that this is probably a pretty powerful Zanpakuto. If it's wielded by a member of the Zero Division, it's probably a strong Zanpakuto. Is it the most powerful? No. Yamamoto's was widely considered to be the strongest in terms of sheer power. But it's still probably a powerful Zanpakuto. Kinpika translates into Gilded Splendor, and its release command, Flash from Illuminating Heavens, or Flash, a Heavenly Flash, also kind of, I think, gives away what it kind of is. I think this is probably a light-based Zanpakuto, and something similar in the vein of Maki Inoches, basically the filler character from the Bound Arc. Except his probably is something different than in Nijigasumi. It glowed with a bright flash. Now, obviously, its ability probably isn't to blind people. In fact, he was still using it predominantly for melee combat. But the Storm Raider W, I can't remember his name, but the Wind was the one who was kind of keeping him from actually hitting Yuwak. So it's probably not a true melee combat Zanpakuto, but it's probably probably usable in melee combat. But Gilded Splendor, Flash from Illuminating Heavens, that clearly implies it's a light type Zanpakuto. Now, how exactly does it use light is the question. You can kind of get the idea of what Zanpakuto does from the opponent's from its user's personality, because it does seem to translate to some degree. Like Tobiyume for Momo, she's a very passive person, but she also does have a temper and streak of courage. So Snap Tobiyume, a flying plum tree, turns into this bridge of it fires fireballs. It's not Yamamoto or Ishin level of fire, but it snaps fireballs, and it's better. It's capable of chaining with Kido, which means it's probably a Zanpakuto of more potential than it is true power. Its Bankai, when fully utilized, is likely very capable. But when Kinpika, we see that Kirinji's a very matter-of-fact kind of guy. He has no problem talking down to individuals, patronizing them. And he's also not afraid to get into a fight. So... And Domino's going crazy downstairs. Sorry about that. My sister probably got home. So it sounds to me like even though this is clearly some sort of Kido-based type, it's probably akin to something more like Ichigo's. Well, and Ichigo might not be the best example because Ichigo's is predominantly a melee type Zanpakuto, but Ichigo does have a Kido-esque ability with Getsuga Tensho because it's firing spiritual pressure in the form of like a concentrated energy blast. That would be considered kind of a Kido type ability, to be frank. Likewise, he comes off as a guy who actually does enjoy melee combat more, plus manipulating the water around the hot springs. So what I would think this would be is possible that his Zanpakuto solidifies light, and maybe can fire out energy beams of light. And similar to Ichimonji, light might be what what it feeds out. Like, as long as there's light around, it'll always have power. Because thinking about Ichimonji and the power it has, there must be a counter equivalent to it. One that feeds off all the black in the world, and one that feeds off the white in the world, maybe. Now, I don't think this is the Zanpakuto that does it, but it does seem like it's something that's very useful in combat the way it's designed. Kind of like sort of like a spear, but more like oh god, what's it called? Not a glaive, a nagata? Basically kind of like Ikaku's blade, if we're going to be honest, except for that fact that his can separate into a 3-section stab. So, Shikai-wise, yeah, I think it probably takes in light, solidifies it, maybe it can lengthen the blade, maybe it can fire out light blast. In terms of what a Bankai for this would do, this one, based on its design, probably does change its form in some way. Hell, even Ichimonji changed its form a little bit. Like the blade and brush disappeared, instead you got the energy, spiritual energy there. In terms of what it would do exactly, maybe it robs all light in the area and basically fires it back and I'm blinding him and then blasting him. That would be probably my best guess on it. See, the problem here is that with something like Frozen Cloud, with Asane's Ichigumo, I believe it's called. That one, because Frozen Cloud is what it translated into, I could easily figure out, like, okay, so it can create maybe a frozen cloud, or it creates water vapor and freezes it, things along those lines. Gilded Splendor and Flash and Illuminating the Heavens, all they're really giving me with that is light. That's really all you're doing. So, yeah, I would imagine, I imagine it's base Shikai manipulates light, maybe solidifies it and use it for, like, combat. And then its Bankai creates a massive amount of light, or steals a massive amount of light. And maybe, or kind of like a Tozen thing, blinding the opponent, and then blinds them again when the light comes in and just overwhelms them with the sheer power of the light. That would be my best guess. Unfortunately, I really don't have much to go off of with this guy, unfortunately. Unlike someone like Asane, who's kind of been around since the beginning of this, since the second part of the series, so early on, this guy only showed up in the final season, arc, and not even until late in there, and then he got taken out, so we barely saw what he was capable of doing. At least Asane, we got an idea of some things, but that's it. Hell, I can even kind of extrapolate more from Tetsuzayamon than I can from this guy, if I'm going to be honest. And I don't even got Tetsuzaymon's Zanpakuto name, so figure that out. Either way, I still think it's something to do with light. That is my ultimate answer. But unfortunately, like I said, maybe solidifying light, using it in some way, stealing light, something along those lines. Of course, if that were the case, he would have just used Bankai to bind Stormwater W and Yuwak. So take that for what it's worth. But until then, though, that is my thoughts. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know if we'll do a review of it at some point. And ideas for who would win, Star Wars, superhero magic, what if, anything to do with the channel. Put that in the comments below. Let me know. I'll get to that at some point. I got a bunch of videos to do. I don't know if I'll get to them all today. I'm going to get through as many as I can. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.